Everybody, this is day 1463 since Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. Why? Because he was a whistleblower. Why? Because of criminal trafficking in borderland. And, you know, let me make sure that everything is on. It's been every day, look, 4 years, every day, this investigation takes turns all the time. And today is no different. So let's go on, see if I'm on. Because there's been so much deception. And I think everybody is starting to believe us that this investigation has been botched from the beginning because it's a cover up, because it is just one deception after another. And we've had to uncover it, the deception after the deception after the deception. And so I want to thank everyone for sticking with us for so long, day in and day out, and understanding what we have been up against, who we've been up against. And I think that by looking at the case itself, it's starting all to come together to not only have we been right, that something was stinky. That's what I mean by that, that we've been right all along, that we knew that there was all this deception going on around us. We didn't know who and what and how and what was really going on, but we knew that it stunk and that we were being lied to, that we were being deceived, that we were being misdirected, and that we were also being obstructed, and we're still being obstructed. And matter of fact, we put together a letter that will be faxing tomorrow. This one has to be faxed. Some letters, go through the mail. Some letters are faxed. Some letters you can email. Um, some you just have to hand deliver, right? So, but you have to keep documenting, they don't like you documenting and putting things on record. And you see that right now with Miss Harris, Kamala Harris. Um, she's been a total disaster at the border. No one disputes that. Everybody is saying that. They might deny it, right? But everybody knows it. And, we have all of the criminal activity at the border to show it, to prove it. There's plenty of evidence, hard evidence, circumstantial evidence, right? Irregularities. It's all right there to prove that the border is a mess, and that law and order was not followed, right? That they opened things up, they made it. Anyway, that's not disputed. It's right in front of our face every day. And coming from an immigrant family, it's it really uh, you're not happy about it, because I know what my parents had to go through, what my family history had to go through. We know what we had to go through when we adopted the boys, to get them naturalized, everything, to do it legally, and to have this kind of chaos um, by our own elected officials that we pay them, and we expect them to do things by the law. To see them botch everything, it's really, yeah. I don't know the word to describe it. Help me to describe it. They're just up to no good. They have betrayed the country. They've betrayed their oath, and they're up to no good. And so to see them do that, to know that what happened in Richard's case, to know that there is uh, this child trafficking. Okay, this human trafficking, human smuggling. This has been going on. The arrests this last few days. Um, the sting, you know, that they will take a person's documented history that shows that they are responsible for this criminal trafficking at the border with the fentanyl that has killed so many people and everything, and they will sanitize it. They will wipe it clean. And this is why we need to document it even more so. Document it so much that they can't sanitize it, right? And in Richard's case, we need to keep documenting where they can't uh, deny, they cannot deflect, they cannot ignore. It's they'll be culpable. They'll be, because uh, there is just this amazing uh, spirit, right? I don't know what else to call it. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord God Almighty. It's the spirit of God that transcends all the obstruction of justice. And that's what I've meant from the very beginning about the mustard seeds, a dream that I had when I was driving into El Paso. I had that dream that day before, remember, with the mustard seed, these trees just growing, right? And it's just amazing where we have come from there. You just have to have faith that the Spirit of God is going to reveal the truth, and that this is how we get accountability, is that faith that not by might, not by power, but by thy Spirit, right? By the Spirit of God, um, everything is going to be revealed. And it sounds uh, very religious, very spiritual, but we are a very religious family. Um, we are a Christian family. And so all of that plays a huge part in being able to stand up against those that protect the criminal traffickers rather than the whistleblowers, okay? Because absolutely, Richard is a whistleblower. We have all through this whistleblowers being harassed, being retaliated against, and of course with Richard, the continuous and severe retaliation that he had to go through, and it didn't work, and so um, he was under 24-hour whistleblower protection. And on that day where they forcibly removed him from his barracks room and murdered him, that day his security detail failed to show up for duty. Okay? And of course, Thomas Kane of the DES, and now we know, because of the connections that we're making now with this turn into the MPs, we've got some MP names now that will be documenting and putting in complaints about that the murder of Richard was then covered up. They rather cover up for the criminal traffickers. What do I mean by that? Well, Leilani Hart said it best. Leilani Hart said it best. She said that Richard, and she wrote it down, it's part of our evidence, that Richard was a code red, okay, which means this was a orchestrated, intentional murder, internal murder, ordered. And And, we know that the people that were retaliating against Richard for his whistleblowing was Major General Clem Coward and, of course, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick. And, of course, it goes to Captain Park and, of course, First Sergeant Ruggiero. And so if you're ever, First Sergeant Jay Paulin inserted himself in all of this, so there's many more, but that tells you that this was an internal hit on a whistleblower, okay, that is supposed to be protected, and that by doing this sends a message to every other whistleblower that don't bother because we're going to kill you. That's the message. And I think, Richard's not the only one. Glendon Oakley Jr., that whole death needs to be investigated. I think the truth needs to come out. But, that's just my opinion on that one. And there's several more. But in our son's case, we're investigating. We're going to hold them accountable for what happened to Richard. And, they, with this new turn again, it corroborates. Not only do we have Nadal Baim being, family associated with Bradford Bugado, the lieutenant colonel in the G3 of the 32nd ATCOM, which is Richard's command. Also with FBI, Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr., also with Jesus's wife in security, in intelligence on Fort Bliss, Cynthia Hernandez Nieto. And now we have Jonathan Ambriz, who is the husband of Danae Katzen, who targeted Richard's case, who absolutely worked together with Dirty Agent Marlon Soto and, of course, Dirty Agent Tavita Nusa. Because you see, when you look at the timeline, there was no urgency at all to talk to Danae Katzen. There's just a lot of evidence there, a lot of notes, and a lot of evidence that they did not care at all about Danae. Well, Danae, here she is married to Jonathan Caleb Ambriz, who is cybersecurity for DHS. So that covers DHS. We also know of the security position of Jules Tuganon Chan in an organization that he forfeited, but he still ran for, influencing El Paso, Fort Bliss, that whole surrounding area through social media on FitFam El Paso, which is totally connected to HRC, right? Human Resources. So, so let's look at who they are protecting. Let's look at who disgraceful, discredited, disgusting Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, who he's protecting. What kind of influence, what kind of false framing of narratives was he up to, and who's he aligning himself with? Well, we know that he's aligning himself with the El Paso ISD mortuary affairs, Amber Chase. We know that he aligned himself with Leilani Hart, an unreliable source, and also with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, another unreliable source. And, let Leilani Hart talk about what they're up to. That in her family, they're up to child pornography. Well, what did we just learn in these arrests across the border in Juarez? 26-year-old babies still nursing. These are infants that were being exploited sexually and, uh, you know, uh, producing child porn with them. That those were arrests that were just made, 26 of them, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? Then we also have in New Mexico talking about the human smuggling. And then, of course, we've had the arrests and with El Chapo, right? El Chapo and the two Sinaloa cartel members for the fentanyl trafficking. So we have, this criminal trafficking going on, and we know that in San Antonio, the Gucci lady, that's her nickname, Gucci lady, I think that's what they name her, who was robbing the American taxpayers with false contracts lined with the child youth services. Stole, what is it, $109 million. I think it was more than that, maybe. And, uh, so we have a huge problem. And Richard was right all along. Richard was saying, it's so bad. It's so bad. And we know through Richard that there was a problem with the guns, right? Because of the audits of the guns being flush all through the barracks. We know that by our evidence that we have in 2023, I believe it was 2023, where they did a health and welfare check and all these guns. And we know through our evidence that brown tip bullets are not registered, and there's a real problem with brown tip bullets. And we know that even tactical move storage units on trucks have been caught going through the border packed full of ammunition. We know that Nadal Baim, through Western trading, right? Western Frontier Trading, had put in a bid to provide $3 million worth, up to $3 million worth of ammunition to the El Paso Police Department. And we know that he's up to no good, right? We know he's up to no good, and he has a record. And, so all these pieces are being put together, and all these names are being connected together. Our board beside us and across from us here in this room, the dots are all being connected. And what it says, when you look at all the evidence, when you look at the chart, when you look at the timeline, when you look at all the pictures and the names, and connecting it with, let's put the yarn up. Let's put the yarn up. A beautiful mind, right? Beautiful mind. What it is showing is that Richard was right all along. There's criminal trafficking going on. It's so bad. And of course, they're exploiting even the most vulnerable. And it is within the ranks, within agencies, and he was retaliated against for trying to stop it. And this is what is so dangerous. The people that are the distinguished honor graduates, right? The people that want to serve this country honorably, they should be protected with everything, right? Not those that are exploiting infants to the highest bidder, right? Allowing children to live in the barracks to be exploited, to be pimped out to the soldiers, which we know happened under DES Thomas Kane. Um, the the breaches of security are, you know, are just huge, huge, and lots of people need to be held accountable. Otherwise, this is just going to so many people. You understand where this is going? It's not going to get better because their bellies are never full. Criminals' bellies are never full. Okay? It won't get better. They will never be satisfied. They're never satisfied. Trillions of dollars and the lives of many, many children have not satisfied them. They are just empty holes, really. Black holes, dark holes, hell. That's what they are, hell. And, Richard stood up to them, and we need to stand up for Richard. We need to make a stand to hold these people accountable. And what did Leilani Hart? At the least, you have to understand, her affidavit was turned in and accepted on the 22nd of July, 2020. Okay. It was a panic. It was a panic. And she only put in the least. And I talked to James Hart about this complaint. And so the least of it is the child porn. The least of it is the ongoing incest. In her family, right? The least of it is the 7-year-old being sexually assaulted by multiple members of the household in her master bedroom. And it was her friend's child. The least of it is the illegal weapons purchasing. The least of it is that she has immigration problems, issues, that she can be blackmailed against. Also, that she was regularly subjected to life threats. So this is what's going on in her house. Then we corroborated with the conversation between James Hart and Leilani Hart. And that corroborated with the long history of incest and, just the sexually exploiting of the children in her family. And, of course, information about Etty, her son. So we have a lot of information on that. A lot of things, this can be another investigation, right? So we're focused on right now getting accountability for Richard's murder, for murdering a whistleblower, and then covering it up and then not giving us our son's remains and doing the right thing by, having no moral base, that's going to cause much more hurt and violence and destruction. It's very clear when you have no moral base that things are going to just constantly get out of hand because the evildoers are never satisfied and they will keep going. So these perpetrators, these murderers, these rapists, these criminal traffickers, they need to be held accountable. And the big issue here is holding accountable those that would not protect a whistleblower, okay, that left a whistleblower vulnerable. Richard was asking to be transferred. They could have got him out of there. They could have protected him. He was, it's not like he was whistleblowing on, oh, someone stole my wallet or something. He, even though they took his phone away, right? And so that whole thing with the phone is another turn that this case took when we found that out. Um, and it's there's so much damage done with the phone issue. There's so much damage done with his car issue. There's so much damage, and to have to um, reframe with the truth what has been told to us as a lie. And then, we're telling the public what we know, what we're being told, trying to trust the CID, trying to trust the chain of command. And, we were being deceived. And so as the truth comes out, and we have to reframe things for people, and it gets so frustrating for people. But thank you for hanging in there. Thank you. And as more and more information comes, our goal is always to get to the truth. And, uh, the whole investigation, this cover-up of the murder, the Code Red murder of a whistleblower, y'all, that transcends even our family, right? Because this is what they're doing to so many of our soldiers, so many of our citizens. When they see something, they say something, and then they're retaliated against. But it's the reporting and the reporting and the reporting that can make a real difference. And that's why they retaliate against the whistleblower, because they want impunity to do their criminal trafficking, to hurt infants, to torture infants, to document their torture of it, and make money off of it. They're just disgusting, just absolute devils. And we have to protect our whistleblowers. They have to know that they will be moved out of there, they will be protected, that what Richard was whistleblowing will be investigated, right? Will be investigated, and that we have real oversight. All of this human resources allowing these family members to all be in an area and to hold positions in our agencies and be up to no good like they've been up to no good, and catching it just, because Jonathan Ambriz is, his connections to KTSM, to Fort Bliss, to so many of these individuals, and him being cybersecurity, and his connection. As soon as we verify everything, we will be sharing that. We have verified Homeland Security, cybersecurity. Yeah, you just can't make this stuff up. And they want people to believe that he's just some chunky, no good con artist that married Danae Katzen, right? And that's not at all. And it's kind of like Nadal Bayim. Oh, he's just some guy. No, he's not just some guy. So, and being connected to these lawyers, you see, this is another common denominator, that they're connected to law firms, the same law firms. And these law firms, also LDS, LDS should come out and protect themselves. They need to address these members and what they're doing, that they haven't done that yet because we wrote them. That that they haven't done that yet or haven't notified us, contacted us about that, when there are active and ongoing state and federal investigations going on right now, and you see these arrests for human smuggling, for the exploitation of infants, sexually exploitation of infants, and then of course the drug fentanyl problem, and also all these things are going to happen, and to protect the criminals instead of the concerned citizen. And I understand that you don't want to cry wolf or whatever, but what happened to Richard, when you're making reports to IG, when you're making reports to CID, when you're making reports and speaking with FBI Houston, when you are making reports and speaking with Washington, D.C., when you are making reports to CPS, when you're calling 911 and you're going out and buying a gun, and you're asking for a transfer, you're calling out for help, you're begging for help. That's what that is, begging for help, right? And then his security detail doesn't even show up, and the CID says, oh, they're complacent. They're complacent in that situation? Hell no. And it just so happens the day they're complacent, Richard is forcibly removed and murdered, brutally murdered. And we have Leilani Hart in there that they are over and over again protecting, when her family, she's admitting in an affidavit with to the incest, to having it notarized, and the notary is verifying, and she has it referred to the FBI, and we have the FBI number, so they have the FBI number. So and it's all about hurting children, abusing children, profiting off of it. And then she's over there with Bob Moore, and they're on an imposter site, and she's posting the most vile, vulgar little, she thinks they're jokes, and it's totally sexually explicit, and it's disgusting. It's like, this is part of her to be disgusting. And of course we've already established that Bob Moore is disgusting and discredited journalist, and also disgraceful. So and I don't say those things lightly. These are all absolutely corroborated by the actions and the evidence. And this is what they want to push on us. They want to push on us to normalize their disgusting actions. Their habits, their whatever, they're disgusting, disgraceful, and illegal. Thank God it's still illegal. And it'll always be illegal, because this is one nation under God. And whether they want it in black and white or not, this is the way it is. and they gnash their teeth. They cry and gnash their teeth because they don't have dominion. God is sovereign. And the stars in their course fought against Sisera and implicate them. Nature, this is why, I've, uh, in the homeschooling, I've always told my children, it's very hard to define God. God can't be defined, right? But if you want to have some kind of understanding of the Holy Ghost, I say think of three things, but not limited to, of course, not limited to. Every word that proceedeth from the mouth of God, the sacraments, and creation. And if you think of those three things, then you can kind of understand when I say the sovereignty of God, that they can go into be a cybersecurity in the DHS, they can be in the CID, they can even be part of adult entertainment and control the CID and get unauthorized access by whatever, and be in intelligence on Fort Bliss and be in the FBI and be in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, be a general of the 32nd ADCOM, be the commanding general, and or be a colonel, right? They can be those things. They can be the IG, right? The IG of the Army right now was the provost marshal. She has to investigate herself, right? She has to investigate herself, and she has absolutely obstructed justice in this case, right? She absolutely needs to be arrested. Donna Martin does. But they can have these positions and they can do all this evil stuff and they can do all their covering up and everything and try to control cases, but they don't have dominion, and they cannot control the sovereignty of God. And so that's why they get caught. And that's why they scream and gnash their teeth, because it's so frustrating for them. You think we are frustrated. They are much more frustrated, and they can't sleep at night because they know they're living hell. They're living hell. So, and they're really causing so much pain, so they're haunted. I think Leilani Hart is reported of saying that she's haunted. So the stars in their course, the creation itself fights against this evil. Every word that proceedeth from the mouth of God fights against this evil. And the sacraments, and that's why they hate the sacraments so much. That's why they hate baptism. That's why they hate confirmation. That's why they hate unction. That's why they hate marriage. That's why they hate ordination. They hate the sacraments because they are the sovereignty of God. So, I'm just reviewing, putting together all the pieces of these arrests that happened. And I was even kind of sad about it because I know that there is more to it. We have reports that this whole El Chapo and what is his name? The other, even a bigger fish, the really big fish, billionaire. He's a billionaire, and he gets caught at the airport with this. No, something else was going on, y'all. And we have reports that, he wasn't just arriving. And we know that the media, will try to frame a false narrative. Um, we also know that I think the brother was released. I don't know if this was a deal. Uh, there's more to it than what we're being told. But what it does, once you get through, the news cycle with it, and you can analyze it a little bit, you need a little time, at least we do, little time to think about it, what is going on here. What sticks out is Richard was right. There is a criminal trafficking problem at the border. Okay? There's a criminal trafficking problem at the border. Child exploitation, child trafficking, child sexual trafficking, human smuggling, all kinds of illegal drugs, all kinds of weapons. It is absolutely, there is criminal trafficking at the border. And it's illegal. It's criminal. And it's killing people. And that was also mentioned. All the deaths. And, do not be calloused. Right? Life is precious. Do not be calloused by all of this reporting constantly. We need to hold on to our humanity. It's kind of like in Master and Commander, where he has it on his hands written, hold fast, right? Hold fast. You have to hold fast to your humanity and to these babies, to our children. And it's hard work to be a mama, right? To be a daddy. It is hard work. And it is the most important job. And we have to have families. Nothing can happen without a progeny, right? It is such an important job. And when you're building an unsafe world, a criminal world, a criminal syndicate where there's no justice, where there is no justice, there just is a criminal syndicate, right? A criminal network. When you're building something like that, and there are people that are doing that by retaliating against a whistleblower and also hiding information about where Richard's remains are. And we know that they have Richard's remains, right? Because they gave us the declaration of death, right? And also because of other evidence, lots of evidence from the DOD, from the DHS, from the FBI, from the DES. We know they have Richard's remains. Okay, we're not just saying it off the cuff. So, but this new information about Jonathan Ambriz from Bliss Avenue, okay? He's from Bliss Avenue, just like Danae, just like Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. The Walmart case is connected through Bliss Avenue. That's one of the ways it's connected to Richard's case. And we know that Danae targeted Richard, right? We know that Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia targeted Richard. We know that Richard's case. And we know now that Jonathan Ambriz is cybersecurity for DHS. And there's more. And there's more. And we know this is connected to law firms and also media. This is such a huge case. It's going to shake, and I think it's already shaking, El Paso to the core. When you think of a usurper in the DA office, when you think of the media and even the social media of FitFem El Paso that you thought that you could trust, right? Okay, let's go to the alternative media, right? And even that has military behind it. And they want to stay anonymous. They want to stay Mr. We want to stay anonymous. we have secret secure top secret access, but we're going to be anonymous. We're in the security business. We're the first responders, right? We're the responders in Richard's case. We're the responders, firsthand responders for the Walmart mass shooting. And the Walmart mass shooting was orchestrated, but I'm a first responder to that. And everything was on the up and up. And I'm working at the emergency intake center. Yeah, oh yeah. And I was there firsthand. And everything was on the up and up. Oh, the 85,000 missing children? Well, look somewhere else. Wait a minute. Let me be the influencer. Everything was so good. No, DES says no. Congress says no. So, you think you have these people to trust, and then you have Leilani Hart being used as, to retaliate against a whistleblower, to misdirect Richard's case, which is obstruction of justice in a whistleblower case. And they're protecting her and using her when she's admitting to a 7-year-old being sexually assaulted in her master bedroom by multiple members of her household, and that her home is just a cesspool of incest and child pornography and illegal weapons purchasing and long history of child abuse and violent acts. And there's a real question in her son Eddie's death. All this information out there. This case takes a huge and being connected to adult entertainment where Belinda Rocha, it just connects. Everything is just connecting. And when we fully understand everything about the Walmart case, we will also crack Richard's case and vice versa. So, thank you so much for coming on. And we will be back tomorrow. It's just huge news, and we just need a lot of prayers. A lot of prayers to crack this. Because God is the one that's doing it. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow. Things are we're just getting so much information right now. And we're also getting, and this is some news that I almost forgot to tell you, but we are getting more and more confirmations of these active and ongoing investigations. Everything has changed from 2020. Instead of delay, and defer, and do nothing, no new news. Now um, we're getting a lot of action, a lot. So thank you so much. Keep praying, and we will be back tomorrow, God willing.